Hello and welcome to a special EstablishTheRun.com screencast. My name is Adam Levitan. I am one of the co-founders here at ETR, and today, as promised, I will be reviewing the winning lineups from the first two ever in the history of ETR, the first two subscriber leagues on DraftKings. First, we'll talk about the winner from Week 13, then we will talk about the winner from Week 12. The goal is simple here: talk some strategies, try to learn from winning lineups, and just get better at DFS tournaments. So let's start with Week 13 here, 1,500 entries, and the winner was Monier33. Stack that Monier33 went with was Carson Wentz, 5.4%, Alshon Jeffrey, 7.9%, Miles Sanders, 50.2%, all from the Eagles. Devontae Parker bringing it back at 8.9%. And look, Carson Wentz at 5.4%, I get it. He has been struggling so badly. We should likely have understood better that the last two games Carson Wentz faced New England and Seattle. Certainly competent, if not good, defenses. Also was playing without Lane Johnson. Has been playing without Alshon Jeffrey. Has been playing without Nelson Aguilar. Also, there was a ton of weather in this Week 13 slate. There were 5 games that I thought were really good fantasy environments. All had some weather situations in them, whether that be wind or rain or freezing rain. So, yeah, this made a lot of sense down in Miami. Perfect weather. Not exactly home field advantage for the Dolphins, considering it was mostly Eagles fans in the stadium. And also, this Wentz stack also had a really good bring-back guy in Devontae Parker. You know, since Ryan Fitzpatrick's taken over, since Preston Williams went down, we know that Devontae Parker has been absolutely balling out. So I think this stack at these ownership percentages makes a ton of sense, and Miles Sanders certainly plays well in the pass game, so he's certainly fine to be with Carson Wentz. And one thing you get by playing Wentz and Miles Sanders together is hopefully you grab all the touchdowns that the Eagles score. And facing the Dolphins with Lane Johnson back, with Alshon and Nelson Aguilar back, certainly could project plenty of touchdowns to be scored for the Eagles. So I really like that stack and that bring back for Monier33. Checked a lot of boxes that we look for. And then let's talk about some of the popular guys that he played. He played Christian McCaffrey, who I thought was certainly one of the best plays on the board. Tyler Higbee, who we know at 2,500 with Gerald Everett out, facing the best possible tight end matchup. And I don't really get into a lot of DVP stuff. I think a lot of it is really noisy given these small sample sizes, but you can't deny that Arizona just has a major problem defending the tight end position, and really all positions. And I think they have a ton of trouble with wideouts also and running backs also. But man, I mean, these tight ends that are popping up and just going off for huge games, there's something to be said right now for the hashtag flowchart on Arizona tight ends. And yeah, Miles Sanders also was really high owned. So I think one thing that we should realize typically in tournaments is that it's fine to play high owned plays, you know? Like, we don't just want to avoid the best plays on the slate just because they're high owned. They're high owned for a reason. You can still gain leverage in your tournament lineups through correlation, which we just talked about with the Wentz, Miles, Alshon, Devontae Parker stuff. You can still gain leverage through some low owned plays. So I think that there is a difference between playing all 2% guys and playing some high-owned plays and fading some high-owned plays we think aren't that strong and playing some low-owned guys with it. And notice I didn't say bad plays when I said low-owned. I don't mean just taking a shot in the dark and playing bad plays. You can get actual good players at lower ownership percentages. Uncle Lenny, Leonard Fournette, 6.7%, seeing like Christian McCaffrey-esque workload. Devontae Parker, 9%, already mentioned. Alshon, Robbie, all under 8%, all with paths to big games. Reasonable plays, not guys who are barely on the field, not guys who barely see any target share. And then also you can think about things like the weather on this slate and use it to your advantage. I mean, Kansas City Chiefs defense at 7.7% in Arrowhead against the Raiders. You know, they're the best thing, forget about the wind for a second. If you expect the Chiefs to get a big lead in this game, and I think most rational people did coming out of a bye with Andy Reid, really healthy, outside of Damian Williams for the Chiefs. And then they're playing Arrowhead also, where Chiefs defense actually plays well. Excuse me. then yeah, you can project a lot of dropbacks for Derek Carr. That's really what we're looking at in defense. We want shaky offenses whose quarterback is going to have a lot of dropbacks. That generates a lot of pass rush situations for us. We can generate sack fumbles. We can generate interceptions, pick sixes. We don't get a lot of defensive points or any defensive points with running backs running into the line from the opposing team a bunch of times a game. And that's what happens when a team is leading a lot. So forcing them into predictable game script situations where our defense can rush the passer a ton certainly made a lot of sense with Chiefs defense. The average cumulative ownership on this lineup was 20.7%. And what I mean by ACO, average cumulative ownership, is you simply add up all the ownership percentages and divide by 9. 20.7% is a little high, but it's still fine given the tournament size. Only 1,500 people, and given how many sub 9% plays that he had. So, love this lineup. Great job, Monier. Enjoy your monies. You are the second ever winner of the Establish the Run DraftKings Subscriber League. Let's go to Week 12 here. And the Week 12 lineup went to KM Bucha, and his stack was, or her stack was, Baker Mayfield 22.5%, so really popular. Jarvis Landry 7%, Kareem Hunt 10%. And remember, this was the game against the Dolphins. Now, the main point I want to make here is that Odell Beckham was around 30% owned in this tournament. And I do think that ownership is discussed a bit too much, especially because people are using it the wrong ways and just saying, oh, a guy is 30%, I can never play it. But I do think that it should be very clear from this that if you expect to be successful at GPPs, you need to be able to see leverage spots like this. And me personally, I certainly preferred Odell. I played Odell in cash on this slate. But if we're being honest, Jarvis Landry has outplayed Odell virtually all season, sees just as many targets, and honestly sees more high value targets. And the projection, it was not all that different between Jarvis and Odell. And also Jarvis was like 700 cheaper. So, this is where ownership projections come into play, and I do them on Establish the Run. Obviously, Jarvis 7% versus Odell 30% should be a no-brainer in tournaments. If Odell goes off, you just don't gain that much. If Jarvis goes off, you pass all the people that played Odell, and you move with all the people who had Jarvis, which is a relatively few number of people, only 7%. Also, KM Bucha here, nice job understanding Kareem Hunt's role. Yes, you can and should play him with Baker if you're playing him. Kareem Hunt playing, some version of the James White role where he's in most passing situations. Notice that KM Bucha did not bring this Cleveland stack back with any Miami players. I think you lose out on some EV, from some expected value from the correlation you get for bringing it back. In other words, like if Baker and Jarvis and Kareem Hunt go off, someone on Miami is likely to go off as well, but not every time. So it's not the end of the world, and not bring it back if you don't like anyone on the Dolphins. I think that's okay. He chose to play just the best plays at running back. Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, massively owned 48%, 49%. And then he got weird. He got off the board at wide receiver. Anthony Miller, 1%. James Washington, 1%. And I think that's typically the right way to think about it. Running back scoring is far more predictable. Their outcomes are just a series of little plays, 20 plus little plays in a game. Wide receivers can break the slate in 2 plays. And, that's a really simplistic way of thinking about it. I'd encourage people to use the buy low model and Establish a Run and think about the intro article that Josh Hermsmeyer wrote about the buy low model for more on the way we should be thinking about wide receivers for tournaments on DraftKings. Also, Zach Ertz and Eagles defense, with no Alshon in this game, no Aguilar in this game. Eagles were just a mess at pass catcher, and a lot of people played J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, played Jordan Matthews. It turned out the right answer, and in hindsight, obviously makes a ton of sense, the right answer was just to pay up for Zach Ertz. And a ton of people played Dallas Goedert also, so you gained a lot of leverage there. And also tight end and defense do have a bit of positive correlation, so I like that from KM Bucha. The average cumulative ownership on this lineup was 17.6%. Certainly fine. And again, some high-owned plays and some lesser-owned plays. So, great job, KM Bucha. Love the lineup. Love the name. You must be a hippie. Shout out to you. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning into this screencast where we reviewed the winners of Week 12 and Week 13 Establish the Run subscriber leagues. Go to establishthorun.com. Remember, promo code ETR20 gets you 20% off any monthly purchase. we'll be producing all the content we normally produce all the way through the Super Bowl. So, for my dog Jerry sleeping on the couch behind me, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.